How much money should I be spending on my social media ads as a real estate agent? How much should it cost me to get a lead? How much should it cost me to actually get a client? How quickly will I get a client? These are the most common questions I get on a daily basis dealing with a client. So I wanted to make this video to show you exactly how you should start thinking like an investor rather than just throwing money at Facebook or Instagram or whatever social media platforms you're using to start generating. Because the most important thing here is you need to be able to understand your system, to understand how much money you're spending versus how much money you make. Otherwise, you're just throwing money away, having your fingers crossed and hoping your ads work, but not knowing why they're not working or if they are working. And in this video, I'm going to be breaking down the concepts we use and train to hundreds of real estate agents on a monthly basis for them to start taking control over the business, understanding how ads work, investing money, and actually seeing a return on investment. So stick around to the end of this video. If you have any comments, leave them in the comment section below and I'll get them answered. So how much money should I be spending on ads as a real estate agent? Now, in order to answer this question, I need to explain to you the systems we use and the system thinking you must have before running any type of ads. Because if you're not doing this, you are never going to be able to see results. So before we go into the ads we use and the tracking software we use, I just want to explain to you system thinking first. Okay, because without this thinking, you are not going to get results. So we always have to understand whenever we do anything, lead generation, closing people, going on appointments, we have to look at something like a system. And a system, it comprises of an input, a process, an output, feedback so that we can always get better, and the environment. So in our case, for example, it would be an input would be leads. We start generating leads. The process would be how we contact these leads and how we book appointments. And the output would be an appointment being booked in. The feedback would be what could I change? What could I do better? How could I improve? And the environment in our case would be the market updates, what's happening economically, what's happening with the housing market, the environment that affects the actual system we're using. Because obviously, if the environment and the market is not villas over 1 million are not selling, then if we get leads for villas over 1 million, we're never going to be able to close them. So we have to look at things as a system. Okay? And the way I want to explain this to you is what most real estate agents do. And the biggest thing we realize is that most agents focus on this. They capture leads through cold calling, social media, paid ads, stickers, whatever it may be. Right? They generate leads. And they think, okay, Mike, I got a lead. I'm going to close this person. They contact the lead. And if the lead is not interested, they throw them away and they complain, the lead sucks, not good, whatever, blah, blah, blah. If they manage the meeting, they close an appointment and they're happy. This is as how far their system goes. They're not updating, they're not looking at what they're doing wrong, they don't have systems, they don't have scripts. They're just very single-minded focused. And this is the reason why most people fail, because they're not considering the environment, they're not cultivating their leads, they're not updating their process, they blame it all on the lead quality. And this is the most common thing we see, because most people think all you have to do is generate a lead and then it's sorted. But that's literally the easiest part, is to get leads. The hardest part is to think about the system and see how it all works together. Now, this is how a system should work as a real estate agent, right? We capture leads. They go into our database building first. The only asset you own as a real estate agent is your database, right? We build a contact list. We contact that lead to see if it can close to an appointment. And if we do, all well and good. If not, we go and always go into tracking our numbers to see, okay, what could I improve? Could I improve my scripts, the speed to lead, the follow-up systems I'm using? How can I get more leads to appointments? By tracking my numbers. If the lead doesn't want to go on an appointment, they go into cultivating. Here's where we build trust. Email marketing campaigns. We're providing value, market updates, just showing we are the experts in the industry. Because look, 97% of your market are not going to be wanting to buy today. They're in the information gathering phase, problem aware phase. The problem is most agents only focus on who are the ones who want to buy today. Right? And the whole idea here is that if we can add all of the leads into our database and provide value and cultivate them, and once they are ready to buy, now they're thinking about you. Now you've provided value so that once they are ready to buy, you are the first person they think of. This is where you win. Okay, and the same thing with here. Once you cultivate, we look at the processes. How can I get better value emails? How can I provide more value? How can I call up my needs better? How can I lead with better? What are the skills I need to learn to be able to cultivate more leads so that I can connect with them and book them into an appointment? So I want you to understand that we have to think like this first. Before anything, think of lead generation and booking appointments and closing deals as a system. Okay, so now that you understand that, I can go into explaining to you how we start helping our real estate agent to think like an investor. Okay, so think about it like this. This is our typical sales funnel, right? We have an ad. This is the Facebook ad you're going to promote. The ad will always have a lead magnet. in order for us to build up our database and in order for us to actually capture lead information. So in this case, they're downloading a free property brochure about the new development. They fill out a form. They get access to the lead magnet, which is the brochure. Then they are added into our CRM, into our database. And this is where we automatically contact the leads via WhatsApp, or we call up the leads, we use scripts, we practice, we understand role plays. We make sure we optimize this part of the process, of the system, to increase as many number of conversions as possible. Once we do that, we close to an appointment. So that's the system we're currently using. This is the current sales funnel, a simple sales funnel that we use. Now, how do we know how much money we're spending versus how much money we're earning? How can we start thinking like investors? And the way we do this is through a tracking sheet. Okay, we have an ads funnel tracking sheet. So what we do every single day is we put in the campaign name, we put in how much money we spent on the ad, we look at the numbers through the actual social media accounts we're using. So let's say 5,000 impressions, 3,000 reach. These are all numbers you get from the ads you're running through the social media platforms. How many people clicked on the ad? How many leads did I generate? And how many, and what is sub there? So this part of it, right, cost per lead, is all down to the lead generation side. How much money am I spending to get one lead? And that's one part of the system. Now, we always have KPIs. So if the cost per lead is between 2 euros and 15 euros, we're happy. So if it's costing me around 2 euros to 15 euros per lead, that is very, very good results. Sometimes it can cost 50 euros per lead, but now I'll explain to you how that works later. We always want to go through a cost per lead of 2 to 15 euros, okay, for our specific market. Now, if the cost per lead is within this, we know these are KPIs, we're happy with this number, let's move on to the next thing. Okay, so now the next part is our conversion systems. How are we booking more appointments? And this is where we look at our systems here, which is out of all the leads we generated, how many people responded positively and how many meaningful conversations did we have? So let's say 5 people responded positively, that means 10% engaged, and how many appointments did we set? Which is the result of the output of our system, right? We set 2 appointments. So out of 5, we set 2, and out of 50, we had 5 meaningful conversations. Those also have KPIs. Engaged leads should be 25 to 50% of all the leads we generated, and then appointment set should be between 10 to 25% of that. So if we're focusing on these KPIs, we can now start to understand, listen, my engagement rate is just 5. Out of 50 leads I generated, only 5 responded back positively. So we have either 2 problems. It's either the quality of the leads or our systems we're using to actually convert those leads into appointments. So what do? We go back and we start testing. Let me change my scripts. Let me see how long it's taking me to actually send the message. What is my speed to lead? And start looking at all of these small different skills and small different processes that we have inside the main process to understand how can we optimize, how can we get better. Because if we're not thinking in this way, we're going to say, oh no, the leads suck. When in actual fact, it could be your speed to lead wasn't good, or your scripts you're using weren't good, or the tonality of your voice when you call the lead wasn't good. There's so many different nuances to get this right. That's why it's super important to understand your numbers and think of it like a system. Because people are making millions on social media as a real estate agent. Why is it not working for you? And the reason why it's not working for you is because you're not understanding the system and your numbers. So I keep saying this over and over again, but I can't stress how important this is. Now, once we do that, we go, okay, how many appointments did I set? How many people showed up to the appointment? So we get our show rate. And how many people did you close? So let's say out of all of these 50 leads, I had 1 person who showed up out of the 2 appointments I set, and I managed to actually close that person. So I have my close rate and my show rate, the property price, and then I have how much commission I made. So then what I could do now is say, okay, look, I made $9,000 in commission, or euros in commission. I spent 100 euros on an ad. That's an incredible return on investment. That's typically not going to happen. But what you have to understand is like now I made 9,000 euros from spending 100 euros. How amazing is that? Right? Think about this for a second. If I told you, if you give me 5,000 euros now, and in 3 weeks' time I give you 10,000 euros back, would you think that's a good deal? Obviously you will. So if you're looking at your numbers in the same way, if you know for every 500 euros you spent on an ad, you earn 9,000 euros back, then you can just scale it up. Then you'll be confident to spend 500, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. That wouldn't sound crazy anymore because you know your numbers and you know what your inputs, your process, and your output is. And that's where thinking like an investor comes into play. Because if you're not doing this, you are never going to be able to see the results you want because you're not sure whatever's happening. You're hoping, of throwing shit at the wall, your fingers are crossed, hoping that things work, and then blaming it on the market if it doesn't. So this is why this is super important for you to understand. This is your business maths. This is the maths you need to understand if you should spend more money, if you should reduce the ad spend. So yeah, now that I've explained this whole system thinking, the tracking sheet, and the importance of this, I can actually answer this question. How much money should I spend on ads as a real estate agent? And the way we train this is simple. We start off like this. We start off with a very small budget. 5 euros, 3 euros, 10 euros. So from 3 to 25 euros a day. We start off small. We see what the market's telling us. We see if our ads are within KPIs. Okay? And what we do is we test this out for 3 to 5 days. We leave the ad run for 3 to 5 days for Facebook or for the algorithm to see and put it in front of the right people. Because there's always a testing period in the beginning, so we don't base our results on the first few days. So we wait 3 to 5 days. We are going to be constantly tracking our numbers on a daily basis using this tracking sheet. Okay? And then what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, is the ad performing within KPI? As is my cost per lead between the KPI I want it to be? If it's not, we stop the ad. We go back and we review the ad. We look at the creative, we look at the image we use, we look at the video, if it's a video ad we use, we update the hook, we change different angles, update the targeting, and we try again. Same thing, small budget, test out for 3 to 5 days, track the numbers, is within KPI. Okay, yes, the changes I made are actually working. Cool. Now the next thing we have to understand, is it within our conversion KPIs? Yes or no? No. I'm only getting a 5% engagement rate. Out of the 50 leads I got, only 2 people responded back. Okay, so there's a problem here. Now it's either lead quality, it's either the ad, it's either the speed to lead, it's either our opening lines when we're calling up the leads, it's either the tonality of our voice when we're calling the leads. Are we leading with value? Are we just calling people asking for an appointment? These are all different skills you need to learn. Because once we start updating these things, guess what happens? We go back to our tracking sheet, and from 10% or a 5% engagement rate, okay, now 10 people responded. I have a 15% conversion rate. Okay, so now it's my skills getting better here. What's the next thing? How can I keep optimizing this whole thing, thinking about it like a system, input, process, output, feedback, and then run ads. And once we do this, everything's working well, we double down on the budget. We increase our daily budget, 50 euros, 100 euros. We're always tracking on a daily basis, but now that we know our numbers, we know how much money how much money we're going to spend to make a sale, to make a deal, then it makes sense to do it. And that answers your question. How much money should you spend as a real estate agent on your social media ads? All comes down to looking at it like a system, understanding your processes, understanding the skills it takes, and constantly working on a daily basis to make this make sense. Right? Because if you're not doing this, you are always going to get sometimes good results, sometimes shit results, and not know what to blame it on. And the amazing thing about all of this is once you start running ads, right? Once you start using this tracking sheet that I'm going to provide to you, this is going to basically, all you do is fill out the numbers here, and it'll calculate your percentages afterwards. So I can say 10 here, I can say 5 here, and these will all calculate automatically. What you're going to realize now is that, okay, look, for the past 3 months, I promoted 3 penthouses and 2 townhouses and 1 villa. And you can start seeing what the market is telling you based on the ads you're running. Because you can say, okay, look, every time I run an ad for a penthouse between 500,000 and 1 million in this location, I got a shit ton of leads and I got a shit ton of appointments. But every time I run a villa between 1 million and 5 million, man, I got no results. I got leads, but nobody wanted, I got appointments, but no closes. So then you can start understanding, maybe I should start pushing more penthouses. This is what the market's telling me. This is what the ads are telling me. This is what the data is telling me. The numbers, like the results and the success is in the data you have. Because you have an advantage on, okay, now I know what the market's telling me. Now I know what my strengths are. Now I know what type of clients I like to work with. But it's all based on understanding your numbers. So I hope you understood how you can start thinking like a system and why the question is, how much money should I spend as a real estate agent on social media ads is not really a good question, because you have to understand your systems first before you can answer it. So I hope this helped. If you want access to the tracking sheet, the ads we run, the scripts we use, different systems we have in order to get you a code lead to a booked appointment, then click on the link below, join our free school community, and you have access to everything you need. There's step-by-step guides, step-by-step videos for you to launch the ads yourself. There's literally free training on everything you need to start doing this yourself. So hope this helped. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. I'll get them answered. And if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe. We post videos like this every single week, and I'll see you in the next one.